Calgary's real estate market has been a seller's paradise for the past 5 years. Oh, but wait, September 2025 comes along and suddenly we're in a buyer's market. But wait, once again, October comes along and flips the script again into a balanced market. What's really going on? Is the market gearing up to rebound back to sellers, or is this just a temporary blip in the market? Should you buy now or should you wait it out? My name is Hashim, I'm with Real Broker, and in this video I'm not only going to be breaking down the numbers but the why behind the shifts and what it means for you as a buyer or a seller. Now in this video I'm actually going to be comparing the numbers from September, which was a full-blown buyer's market, to the most recent numbers we have right now, which is the statistics for the month of October. In the month of September, the sales were pretty low compared to the amount of new listings hitting the market, and that brought the inventory to around 7,000 units by the end of September, and that's 36% higher than September last year. Both apartment and row homes have seen the highest amount of supply and highest amount of inventory gains, and I actually have a completely different video explaining why that is, so make sure you check that out as well. So this actually pushed the Calgary market overall into a buyer's market. Now if you don't know, a buyer's market is anything that's over 4 months of supply. Now months of supply is if you were to sell everything at the current rate it is selling, how long would it take for all the inventory to run out if there were no new listings? And as of September, that number was 4.02 months. Anything above 4 months is going to be a buyer's market. And the reason for that is just because of a really large increase in the inventory and a lack of sales. Now, overall, the benchmark price has been going down in Calgary. But if you're looking at specific sectors of Calgary, the north and the northeast have taken the biggest hits in terms of benchmark price. And if you look at the other side of the city, the southwest, the west, some of the communities in those areas are actually keeping their value, and some of them are even increasing in value. If we're looking at specific property types, condos and apartments are something I would avoid just because the inventory is so high, the benchmark prices keep on dropping. So I definitely avoid those. The second worst type of home to buy right now would be a townhome, just because of the benchmark price drop in there as well. After that comes detached homes. Now detached homes are actually holding their value fairly well. Yes, they are going down a little bit, but again, they're holding their value pretty well. And the one that actually caught me off guard was duplexes or semi-detached homes. Now these homes are actually going up in value, and the reason for that is semi-detached homes offer a lot of the things that detached homes offer, but they aren't as expensive. So that's kind of what was happening in September. We were in a full-blown buyer's market. People had a lot of negotiating power. People had a lot of options to choose from. Not a lot of buyers were in a rush. Now what did that do? Now moving into October, this is where it gets pretty interesting. In October, a lot of buyers actually started to jump back into the market. Again, because of lack of interest rates, because buyers had so much negotiating power, buyers had a lot of options to choose from. Now because a lot of buyers were starting to jump back into the market, the sales increased. Now, not only did the sales increase, but there was also a pullback in new listings. Fewer homes came on the market in October, which reduced the pressure on inventory, and when supply slows down while buyers are still active, the market naturally begins to balance out. Now here's a key difference. This is mostly in the detached and semi-detached sectors of the home where the market is balancing out. The row homes and townhomes, that market is still in a buyer's market. Here's a closer look at the numbers. Inventory dropped to 6,471 units, down from 6,916 units in September. This is because a lot of the inventory was being sold and a lot of sellers were holding back listing their homes just because of the increase on days on market and the increase in homes not sold. Sales actually rose to 1,885 homes sold, up from 1,720 homes last month, and this actually helped shift the market from a buyer's market in September to a balanced market in October. Months of supply fell from 4 months to 3.43 months in a span of a month, which is pretty huge. Let's break down each property type and what it's doing right now. For detached homes, October sales reached over 1,000 units, and that's an improvement from the September sales. Inventory for detached homes trended down to 2,913 units, with months of supply just under 3. Prices eased slightly. Again, they did go down slightly, but not as fast as they were going down before. For semi-detached homes, sales did improve quite a bit, and the inventory is staying pretty stable. The benchmark price is around $683,000, which is around a 1% improvement from last year. This is actually the only property type which is going up in value. Every other property type is going down in value, whether that be a lot or little. Now here's where I would be careful. In row style homes and apartment condos, is still in a pretty firm buyer's market. The supply is pretty high and it continues to increase. That's pushing the prices down. And out of all the property types, the prices for row homes and apartment condos are decreasing the fastest. Now I do have a completely different video talking about exactly why that's happening, why the condo market is going down, what's happening with it, what's the reason, etc. Make sure you check that out. I'll link that video in the description as well. So what's the takeaway? Calgary's market is stabilizing. Detached and semi-detached homes are balanced, and we're seeing more steady sales and a decrease in inventory. Row home and apartment style condos still favor buyers, but prices have already started adjusting to reflect the higher supply. Overall, the market is showing signs of recovery from the recent buyer's market, but that's mostly in the segments of semi-detached homes and detached homes. In short, October wasn't just a month of numbers, it's a signal that Calgary's housing market is finding its balance again after the dip we saw in September. So here's what happened. In the past 5 years, it was a seller's market. Now we come down to September 2025, which is a buyer's market, and then we start to go back up ever so slightly back into a balanced market in October 2025. Now I'm actually going to break down what all of these numbers mean for you as a buyer or a seller. Before we get into that, if you want a PDF version of all these numbers, the market report, and what they mean for you, just text the word market to 587-892-7755 and I'll send it over for you just so you have it for your records. Now what does this mean for you as a buyer or a seller? Here's the truth. The recent dip in September created a window of opportunity for buyers. More inventory, softer prices, and more negotiating power for you as a buyer. But realistically, that window is starting to close fast. By October, we're already back in a balanced market. So September, we were in a buyer's market. In October, we're in a balanced market. That's a fast shift. What does that mean for you? If you're looking at the detached and semi-detached homes, prices are stabilizing and the competition is starting to return. Waiting too long could mean higher prices or fewer options, especially as demand picks up again. Detached homes are just under 3 months of supply, which is low enough that a strong listing could spark multiple offers. And me myself, I was actually in a multiple offer situation pretty recently. Here's a bottom line for buyers. If you're serious, detached and semi-detached homes are back in balanced territory. You still do have a fair amount of negotiating power and you still have a fair amount of options to choose from, but that window could be closing pretty fast. For sellers, here's where it gets strategic. Pricing is critical. If you price too high, your home could sit on the market and lose momentum. If you price strategically, you could create a competitive scenario with multiple offers. That is still very, very possible. Here's the overall insight. The Calgary market isn't moving randomly. It's moving in a cycle. Right now, we're seeing a clear bounce back from the September buyer's market dip into a balanced market in October. Detached and semi-detached homes are starting to get more traction, while row homes and apartment condos are still in a buyer's market. Now this isn't based on speculation, this is based on numbers. Again, if you want that PDF with all the numbers and the original market report, give me a text at 587-892-7755 with the word market and I'll send it right over to you. Alright, that's a wrap on the October Calgary real estate market. Right now it's November 5. These are the most recent statistics we have. Everything I've said in this video is based on numbers. Again, if you want that market report, shoot me a text at 587-892-7755. I'll get that over to you. If you're a buyer, knowing what segments give you leverage is very, very important. And if you're a seller, positioning your home right now in a market that's moving back towards a balanced market is crucial. Now here's the thing, everything I've talked about is an overall overview of what's happening in Calgary. Every single situation is pretty unique. Now I've been in situations where it is actually a seller's market overall in the city, but there are specific homes that are sitting in a buyer's market. I've been in situations where it's a buyer's market overall in the city, but there are specific homes that are in a seller's market. Every single situation is unique. That's where I come in. If you're thinking of buying or selling and just want a clear, honest assessment of what this market means for you and your goals, I can help break down and create a strategy that works for you, your timeline, and your budget in this specific market. Or if you have any sort of questions at all, give me a call at 587-892-7755. If you want that market report in the PDF version, all the numbers, all the stats, just text the word market to me at 587-892-7755. If you want to know the specifics of why the condo market is going down, why we're seeing such high levels of inventory, I'll link a video in my description where I talk all about it. And that being said, if you have any sort of questions, leave them in the comments, or you can just give me a call or shoot me a text at 587-892-7755. Hashim out.